What's up guys, welcome back to this week's video. So as you can tell by the title or the thumbnail, I'll be taking you along with a service of the car today. I've seen a lot of you guys requesting it in the comments, so today I'm going to take you along with the service. It's going to be like a major service, and I'll also give you some tips and things to look at when you're doing the service. I won't be doing the oil change because I have done that in a recent video when we did the rear main seal replacement, so I'll leave a link to that, but I'll also give some tips on the oil change as we go through the entire video, so stay tuned for that. All I'll be replacing today is the fuel filter. I'm replacing the water bottle as well because this water bottle that's currently in is a bit dirty and corroded, so I'm going to replace that to a coolant flush. I've got an air filter, spark plugs, and then obviously some coolant. This is the coolant I'll be using. VW usually stipulates 15,000 or every year to do your service. You do get different interval services, but on City Golfs, seeing that it is so cheap and that it's an older car, you usually just do a major service every time. So I've already done the oil change like I say, so I'll leave the link for that. And then I've also done a brake fluid change that you do usually every 2 years. I've also done a video on that. I'll leave a link for that up here somewhere. Yeah, so today I'm just going to do the coolant flush and then the service, changing the plugs, the air filter and the fuel filter. So let's get into it. Like I said, I've done a brake fluid service not too long ago in one of my videos when I sprayed the calipers, so I'm not going to do that today. And then as you can see, this bottle is quite dirty but corroded. Yeah, so I'm going to do a coolant flush, and then I'm going to change the air filter, fuel filter and the spark plugs. Usually I'll start off by draining the oil. Like I said, I'm not going to do an oil change in this week's video because I've done it like 3 weeks ago when we did the rear main seal. But yeah, we'll start, or I usually start with the draining the oil. It's a 19, the sump plug. Don't forget to replace the sump plug washer. And you also need a catch pan to catch the oil, obviously. Once that is done, I'll move on to removing the oil filter. It's going to drop. Remember, there is oil in the oil filter, so it will leak a bit, so keep that catch pan under the oil filter as well. And then once that's all drained, also remember to open the lid where you throw the oil in so that it can flow out easily. And also the oil has to be hot, so you preferably want the car to be heated up before you remove the oil. Once all that's done, put the sump plug back with a new sump plug washer. You put the oil filter in. Don't forget to put some oil on the rubber of the new oil filter. You put that in, hand tighten. It's usually about 20 Newton meters to tighten the oil filter. And then also when you start the car, just let it run for about 3 or so seconds, because obviously the oil needs to circulate and go through into the oil filter as well. So then once it's running for 3 or so seconds, switch it off, check your oil. You'll probably have to top up the oil level. It will be lower than initially because you started the car and the oil circulated and also went into the oil filter. So just bear that in mind to double check the oil level after the first start. So all I'll be using today is this rubber thing. It's to remove the spark plugs, just to get a hold of it. The spark plug fits in here. I've got an extension, I've got the ratchet, and then I've got a 10 for the bottle, a spark plug socket, and then obviously a screwdriver to loosen the clamps on all the hoses for the bottle and the fuel filter. So I'm going to start off with replacing the spark plugs. You're obviously just going to have to remove these leads. Preferably keep it here as low as possible. You don't want to pull on here and damage it. Also, it might be hard if you just started or you just switched the car off, so just be careful about that. And then also you want to check in areas like that there's nothing loose or any debris that could fall into the engine once the spark plug is removed. Loosen it first with the socket, and then I use this thing, fits on over here, and then you just remove it. So you always want to make sure you're putting the correct and same size spark plugs in, so you'll obviously always need to check with the existing or the previous spark plug that you've taken out with the new one. You can see the part numbers are the same, so I know it's okay, but you can usually just check with the sizing of everything. And then as you can see with the new spark plug, it has this on over here and this one doesn't. So for City Golfs you need to remove this, and it's simple, it just screws off. plugs are in. All I got to do now is loosen this 10 over here, and then these clips, once that's loosened, I can take this off, and then we can fit in the air filter. And I've just got to loosen these two clamps with a star screwdriver to loosen these hoses. Just remember that some fuel is going to pour out of here, so just be prepared for that. And also another tip with replacing the fuel filter, just check the arrow on the fuel filter for the flow. You want to make sure it's in the exact same flow as on the previous filter, so just make sure that the arrow is in the right direction when fitting the new one. Just also remember, if you replace the fuel filter, it might not start on the first time, because obviously the fuel still needs to circulate through the filter. So just remember that the car might not start the first swing after replacing the fuel filter. I've got the fuel filter in, plugs are in, air filters in. If I was doing the proper service now, I would throw the oil in, also making sure that the car is on a level surface, so I drop it from the jacks. And then I'll throw the oil in. Once the oil's in, I'll check the oil level. Like I say, you'll need to start the car for a couple of seconds for the oil to filter. Once you've done that, you can just double check the oil level, and you'll probably have to top it up, because obviously oil is going to go and circulate through the oil filter. And I'm just going to replace the bottle and do a coolant flush. As you can see, the bottle is quite dirty and corroded. Obviously over time that will happen, and not having proper amount or mixture of coolant and water in there, that can cause this. So you also want to replace that, because that can lead to obviously overheating and things like that. So just bear that in mind if you see your water bottle looking a bit dirty. All we need for this is a 10 over here and here, and then a screwdriver to loosen these two clamps. Just remember, water will run out here once you remove this pipe, so if you want, you just keep something at the bottom to catch the water. Also a quick tip, when you're removing the water from the bottle, just make sure that it is cold and the car is cooled down, because of the pressure that builds up, obviously of the heat also. So just to protect yourself, make sure that the car is cool before you open the cap, and obviously take off the pipes and to let the water run out from the bottle. Got the water bottle on. I flushed the system with a hose pipe just to get the rest of the rust and corrosion out of the water system, the pipes and like the radiator and stuff. So I've done that. It's clean now. I'm just gonna add in the coolant. I've got a 5 liter. I'm gonna use about 3 liters of the 5 liter, and then I'm gonna top it up with some water, and then I'm just gonna let the car idle with the cap open and let the water circulate until the fan comes on, and just monitoring the temperature gauge. As you can see, when I initially put it in, I put it in about till here, and it went down because obviously the water still had to go through, and there might possibly be an airlock, so the water still went through. I still need to put the car on so I can top it up a bit more. So I've got the car idling, as you can hear, with the cap open so the water can circulate, and if there's any air pressure that needs to come out, that will come out. So what I'm doing now is just waiting for the car to get the temperature and for the fan to come on. So as you can see, the car is almost up to temperature. I usually do this with leaving the heater on as well while it's running. So I'm just waiting for that to get to temperature. This pipe is slowly heating up, which means that the thermostat is opening. All I'm waiting for now is for the fan to come on, and then I know that we're good to go. and that is not an airlock or anything in the system. There we go, 100% fan is on, and the temperature is just under half. Fan came on, pipe heated up at the bottom, which means thermostat is opening. Overnight the water might drop, or if you give it a drive it might drop, so that should be fine. Just monitor that once you've driven it, and after a night of standing just check the next morning. The level might have dropped, so that's fine that it's just slightly over max, because it should come back down to the proper level. So yeah, that's about it for the service. Other things you also want to check is your belts, both belts. If there's any cracks or any wear on that might have to be replaced. And then also you want to check like your CV boots, your steering rack boots. If there's any cracks on that might need to be replaced. You obviously want to check that all your lights are working. You want to check your discs and pads if that needs to be replaced. Usually replace it at around 3 mil or so. And then once you're done with that, you obviously just want to check for any leaks from the oil filter, sump plug, the water bottle, the fuel filter, and if there's nothing from there, then you're good to go, and that should be the end of the service. And then lastly, I just want to add emphasis on double checking your oil level before you close your bonnet. So that's it for this week's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope I didn't miss anything. If I did, be sure to leave it down in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Some strange stuff happening. I mean, just yesterday and this morning there was an earthquake in Cape Town. I never felt it, but yeah, 2020, crazy stuff is happening. Stay safe out there, guys. And on that bombshell, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.